Ketchum, and you're listening to Silph Radio.
This is Silph Radio, a Pokemon-centered podcast. This is the comedy podcast where we discuss Pokemon matters seriously. Our show is intended for adult listeners, and we are entirely unofficial and unaffiliated with Nintendo, Game Freak, or the Pokemon Company. Or Wizards of the Coast, for that matter. Wizards of the Coast. Holy shit, it's been a long time since I've uttered those words in that order. Every episode of this show, I invite a guest host to help me pick a very specific topic and give it way more attention than it probably warrants. Today, that guest host is the returning Andrew Spohn, host of the Amusement Sparks podcast and Silph Radio regular. What's up, man?
Wow, it's so good to be back. These waters are magnificent.
It is so good to be back. It still feels like you're a new friend, and then I was looking at my phone and I realized it's been over a year, and I'm like, wow. We've done a lot of podcasts together, haven't we?
Time flies. That's crazy.
Time does.
I just love Silph Radio so much. And the transition from being like a listener to like someone who's on the show a few times, it's crazy. It's like, it feels like a dream almost. I mean,
thank you, man. That's the coolest thing anybody's ever said to me. Like, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think because I'm still used to like, you know, my media, like the stars of my media being like such elevated celebrities. And then, you know, when podcasts kind of came into my life, I still have that kind of mindset of like celebrities aren't even real people. But, you know, right? You're a real person, presumably. Like, you know, I know your phone number. Like, it's crazy.
I'm far from a celebrity, but I hear you. It's because I've also collaborated with podcasters that I've listened to. It is surreal and it's cool. But I'm just as excited to be doing things like this because when I started the show out, it was just me and my friends. You know, we had a few guests on Fairpoint, but Silph Radio has grown beyond that, and I really enjoy that. It's a wonderful part of my life.
Yeah, man, 50 episodes. You got to be proud of that. That's pretty dang impressive.
Thank you. Today is another first. If you can believe it, we've made it. This is sort of a travesty that we've made it past 50 episodes without doing an episode that focuses on the trading card game. We talked about it a lot in the episode that me and Antoine did about Pokemon Crime. That was fun, and we've touched upon it here and there. You know, the Professor Oak episode, I don't know, but this is the first time we're really diving into the trading card game, and I'm pretty excited about that. What is your experience with the TCG as it is?
Oh my god. It's a long story that, I don't know, it syncs up with like the major life events I've gone through, like no joke, which is kind of weird / sad.
I gauge things by like when specific media came out, and fucking it's like Jurassic Park, The Lion King, Toy Story, Independence Day, Pokemon. Like these are all like benchmarks that I like gauge. Like, okay, so that happened after Independence Day came out.
So true. Like the base set came out like close to when my parents got divorced, and like my mom remarried and we moved way out into the country, so I was like kind of by myself, living like not living in the woods, but like spending all day every summer out in the woods. And I got these base set Pokemon cards, and like the graphics, the art on the cards was like so amazing and much more lifelike than playing the video games. So it just like it really sparked my imagination, and like, you know, I could suddenly picture like a Charmander sitting next to me instead of it being like this weird pixelated, you know, whatever the size of those original sprites was. They weren't very like accurate. they weren't very lifelike. But then the art in base set was like, these look real. Like I don't know, it's much easier to picture them in real life based on that art. I didn't really know how to play the game. I just loved the art and like reading the flavor text at the bottom. And somehow, I don't know, having the medium in your hands in the real world feels better than like playing through a Game Boy screen to me. I don't know, it felt like more of a real world artifact. Like it kind of felt like those cards were a link to that Pokemon world.
Absolutely, and it was more affordable a habit than like collecting blind boxes and blind bags, for example. You got to spend like $10+ for one figure, or you get, you spend like half of that and get 8-9 cards,
Right, very true.
The art is sort of what appealed to me mainly as a Pokemon fan and as a gamer. So you didn't play, have you ever played the game?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This was just like at first when I first got the base set cards, like I saw that little like holographic Machamp and I was like, I need this. Like I don't know what this show is or anything. Like I got the cards before I had seen the show at all. So I might have had Pokemon Red at this time. I don't really know, but I know I really wanted them when I saw them at Toys R Us. So eventually I did learn how to play the game over the next like year or so from that point. And then I went to a league when I was, a youngster, went there a few times. And then my friends and I started playing in like middle school. So I played 6th grade up through 12th grade with pretty much the same group of friends in high school. And when I was in like 11th grade or 10th grade maybe, I started our own local Pokemon trading card game league. So I was like the league boss guy. Like I organized it. Wizards of the Coast sent me boxes of energy cards and Pokemon badges and stuff to like pass out to like the community.
Oh, dude.
So it was cool. It was like cool like leadership, opportunity when I was like a high schooler. It was pretty rad.
Yeah, that is super cool. Yeah. Phil actually became a playtester for Magi Nation, which I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but Magi Nation was a big deal. When the Pokemon card game came out, I had already drunk the Kool-Aid. You said you weren't a Pokemon fan?
Not a ton. Like, I mean, when I first got the games, the video game Pokemon Red, I was like super hooked. But also when I first got the starter deck from base set, I was also really hooked. They were around the same time.
Okay.
I don't remember which one was exactly first, but yeah, as soon as I found out about Pokemon, I was super hooked.
Well, I was already very into Pokemon, and I played Magic the Gathering. So I was already buying Scry magazine and InQuest magazine, and these things are relics of my adolescence that they're some of my favorite things. But great. For the generation that grew up without magazines, like you guys got the internet, and that's pretty dope, but like, man, you missed out on the magazines. Those were cool.
I still love magazines to this day. Like at half price books or whatever, I'll go pick up like old Nintendo Powers, and even if the magazine's not that great, just like seeing the ads and like getting those vibes of like what it was to be, the 90s or the early 2000s or whatever, things just it feels so old already. Like 2003 feels like it was so long ago. It's crazy.
I have such a weird relationship with it. It feels like a million years ago and yesterday at the same time.
Right.
Like, it's so weird.
Yeah. Time keeps on going, man.
When the card game came out, I was all in, and I quickly fell off of it. It just didn't do it for me. It's not as good a game as Magic, in my opinion. It just isn't. And it wasn't what I was expecting already playing the Pokemon game and playing Magic the Gathering. I knew it wasn't going to be Magic, but it was just so left field to me. Me and my friends would always just be like, yeah, you want to just play Magic? Eventually we wouldn't stick with playing Pokemon. We'd play a game or two. And
when my friends and I would play Pokemon, the place where we were, that house had an older brother who was into Magic. So like, there were like the older boys were out playing Magic and we're in here playing Pokemon. And they're similar games, they both kind of put you in the role of like a commander type of thing, but for me, I like the Pokemon trading card game more, and it might be that kind of distortion from nostalgia of my days in the woods running around imagining that these, Pokemon cards were my friends or whatever. But like, I do like Magic the Gathering, but I never felt as connected to that world, I think.
Oh, no.
Because like each new set of Magic is like kind of telling a new story, and I've grown to appreciate that as an adult. But when I was a kid, and still, I appreciate that Pokemon is kind of building on that same world, the same story. It might be a new region, but it's still connected to its roots. Yeah, I feel like Magic has transformed so much every few years. It's totally different.
No question, no contest. Like, I prefer Pokemon infinitely to Magic the Gathering. But as far as the card game goes, I just think Magic the Gathering is a better game.
I respect that.
You may disagree. That's fine. I wanted to make it clear that, no, Pokemon trumps Magic the Gathering, like, by a long shot.
Yeah, I see you, but have you listened to Mark Rosewater's Drive to Work podcast?
No, I haven't.
He's one of the like creative leads at Magic the Gathering, and he has a podcast where it's just him driving to work and just talking the whole time. But it's been really fascinating as kind of an amateur game designer to see how much work goes into every little detail about that game. It's a really good podcast. I'd recommend it, especially if you're kind of nerdy and like game design stuff. But he's been leading Magic for 20 years. Like, Magic was the first trading card game, which is shocking to me. Like, so few first works of art are still amazing and still around, but first trading card game is still, top dog. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't keep up with it nowadays, so I break out my decks every few years and just get my ass whooped because I have the same decks I had in fucking high school.
Yeah, it's totally an arms race. Like, every year, everything is pretty much irrelevant. All your old cards are bad.
Yeah,
I love playing competitively. Like, maybe every year or two, I'll still go do like a booster draft tournament or some kind of tournament where you don't already have to have a lot of cards, or that's not an advantage. It's just kind of like picking up these cards, opening them, building your deck right there, and going right into battle with it. I really love that sensation, and that kind of improvisation of design is really, really fun. And if you have booster draft tournaments in your area, I'd recommend going. They're really fun, and you can win some prizes. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been to a few, but it's been a very, very long time. I used to my childhood, a lot of it took place at this specific comic shop here in my hometown, and playing Magic all day and reading comic books that I didn't have the money to buy, and oh man. But I did design Magic cards as a kid, like, fervently. But now as an adult, when I look into it, I realize that if I ever wanted to do something like that, there is so much more work that would have to go into it. Now, I was very creative, and I think the cards that I created hold up singularly as pretty cool Magic cards, but designing a set of Magic cards, there has to be a balance and, like these interlocking, like things you can do with the cards, and I never took that into account. But
yeah,
I always suspected that, like, see, the problem to me, while some of the art is awesome, and I would collect a lot of Pokemon cards, specifically the imported Japanese ones, because I just thought they were cooler.
They look way better. The back of the card, man, dang, that pocket monster.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Looks good.
And I was collecting them for the image, not to play them, so it was just a cooler thing to have. But it just seemed like the people creating Magic cards sort of took it more seriously than the people making the It's like they hired some people to design some game mechanics for them and then slapped their franchise on it. Not entirely. You can tell that there are some people generating some ideas, some interesting ideas there. But, I mean, like, I'm just making this up. I don't remember what the specific cards do. But, like, for example, you'd get a card and it's Brock. And you're like, oh, cool. This is the Brock card. I wonder what it does. Draw 2 cards. Oh, okay.
Right. It's not themed very well. Dude,
it's
that's
like
totally
they needed
right.
a card that says draw 2 cards, and they're like, well, we need to make a Brock card, put a picture of Brock on there. I mean, I feel like if they made a Magic set that was Pokemon themed, which, Wizards of the Coast, like, figure out some way to do that. I will start playing again.
Even if that's one of the, like, kind of jokey sets that Magic does, like the Unbound or whatever. That'd be so amazing. But if they took it seriously with, like, some good art. But, like, I feel like in that set, Brock would do something like +2/+2 to all your rock Pokemon or something like that, It should be tied into his actual role. And that's a good point about you were saying earlier about how the Magic, there's so much balance that needs to be included when you're releasing like new Magic cards. And they do that so well, and they theme it so well. Like you said, with the gameplay mechanisms, like if it's a horror themed set, the mechanics are going to feel horror-ish. They're going to like match the theme really well. And I think it kind of comes from like, that kind of fantasy background where it's, I don't know, the target audience I feel like is older and the content is more serious. Whereas Pokemon, it's like, yeah, whatever, it's like a Saturday morning kids cartoon and like whatever.
Oh.
It's got a lot more like purity to it, and like they maybe don't treat it as seriously, which can be very enjoyable. Like, there's something to just like, junk food or like watching cartoons as opposed to like only watching serious content or absorbing serious content. So I like
the mentality of, and I know this isn't your idea, but the way that a lot of people generating a lot of this content look at it, that Pokemon is a Saturday morning children's cartoon, that drives me fucking crazy because it's not. There is a Saturday morning children's cartoon based on Pokemon. Okay, here's a great... actually, this is great. This is a great comparison for the generation listening who grew up on the Pokemon anime and doesn't understand, like, why do you like Red? Who cares about Red? We don't know anything. I grew up with Ash, and fuck you. I get that, but I want you to understand how it feels to me. It's my Teen Titans Go, which is like, that is to say, I have no problems with Teen Titans Go, because the way I look at it, it's just another incarnation of these characters, and whatever I've seen from it hasn't been that bad. I have heard some things that are pretty cringeworthy, but yeah. I look at it from a broader perspective of like, whatever, we'll have a serious Teen Titans cartoon again one day. It's not I don't think it's changing the public's perception that Teen Titans is about, like goofy jokes. I don't know. But Pokemon, so what you hate about Teen Titans Go, that's how I feel about Pokemon, because you don't want people to look at Teen Titans and think it's Teen Titans Go. I'm okay with there being a Saturday morning Pokemon cartoon. It just drives me crazy that the people making the Pokemon live action movie are going to be looking at it through that lens instead of, no, there's a rich mythology that people fucking obsess over.
That's so true. You can bring whatever mentality you have to this franchise, like pick the media that represents you. Like, you can just go watch, the original Teen Titans series or just read the comics. Like, I don't know, it's not like each piece represents the actual, like, what it really is. It's kind of up to each individual person. So, yeah, I don't like the Pokemon anime at all, but I'm sure that when I say, hey, I love Pokemon, people are like, oh, the cartoon? It's like, not the cartoon. I, like, don't even really know the cartoon very much. I like the trading card game. I like the video games. I like just the lore and Bulbapedia. Like, there are so many other parts and so many other like wrinkles and facets to this world and the character design and every little thing about it, that it's not just the cartoon. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. It's always rough when people like assume that your show is what it is, or your franchise is what they are perceiving it as. I don't know. Ugh, it's weird to get upset about that, but I totally do.
Hey, whatever. It's weird to get upset about it if it is a detriment to your life, if it causes you to enjoy your life less. To me, I'm okay with like bad movies, like, because I'm like, it gives me something to talk about on the podcast, and that's fun. Like, like we talked about, there were things in the Pokemon 20th anniversary movie that I didn't like, but it doesn't, I don't have a fucking crisis over it, because I'm like, that's gonna be fun to talk about on the podcast. Oh, gee whiz. And sometimes franchises do things that really make me go like, oh god, I really wish you didn't do that, because you just fucked with my franchise's continuity. But still, at the end of the day, hey, I'd rather have something to talk about than nothing to talk about. Like, I'd rather have something to obsess over than nothing to obsess over. I have fun with it.
That's totally a good point. I feel like the danger of that comes when people put like too much stock in like public opinion of whatever. Like, if you're a diehard Batman fan and then, the Lego movie is like, well, now everyone thinks it's like a thing for kids, and like, that's not how I perceive it. And you just kind of have to like rise above that, I think, or like, you can still wear your heart on your sleeve. You can still wear your Batman t-shirt, but I don't know, that maybe that puts Batman into more people's minds when it's this kind of lower tier thing, in your opinion. But that's more conversations you can have. Like, more people will recognize that logo, and I don't know.
And that movie was fucking amazing. The movie was so good.
Oh,
it was so good.
No, yeah, you're totally right. I agree. I thought it was a great movie.
So much more craftsmanship went into that than goes into Teen Titan Go, for sure. And so much more like love for the source material, while there are definitely key areas that it diverts and clearly is like, hey, that's not what my Batman would do. I feel the same way, but who cares? Tim Burton's Batman isn't what my Batman would do, but there's still a way to enjoy those movies. Same thing with Adam West's Batman, and like there's still integral parts to the Batman mythos. And if you truly believe that Adam West didn't tarnish your dark Batman's reputation, but fucking the Lego Batman movie's going to, like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah. And that's totally the word for it, is my Batman or whatever. Like, you know, there can be totally different interpretations of your character and your franchise. These totally like disparate things too that like totally don't mesh together, but they can both exist as kind of spin-offs of the same franchise. They can still thrive like together. It's kind of crazy.
Well, speaking of that, I guess today we're kind of going to be exploring how two different incarnations of the same franchise relate to one another. I mean, as usual, I'd like to just explore this in its own context, you know, as far as possible before we get too deep, but, you know, let the conversation go where it may.
Heck yeah, man. Love it.
So what you suggested we talk about, and this was a brilliant little bit of synchronicity because I had recorded a podcast with Jolly by Nature of Blastburn Radio, and he is the person who clued me into the existence of our topic today, the Delta species Pokemon. I had no idea that these things existed, and so long ago. And
yeah.
It's fascinating, and the day that I was pretty much like finalizing and finishing editing on that episode, so you hadn't heard it yet, you texted me like, hey, have you ever heard of these Delta species Pokemon? I want to do a podcast about it. And I'm like, I just committed to doing a podcast about it. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. I got this kind of magazine type thing from Five Below that's called like the complete unofficial Pokemon guide. Like it reminded me of like a Pojo's magazine or something from back in the day, and so I picked it up and I was like reading through like a brief synopsis of each Pokemon trading card game set and kind of watching how the game has evolved, and like it shows which decks were leading in the competitions at the time and like what each set release meant for like organized play. It was really cool. But eventually I got to the part with the Delta species Pokemon. I was like, yeah, I used these a lot in high school. Like those were like a big part of some of my really amazing decks because people are like, how do you have like this grass type Snorlax? Like they're just like these really strange combinations that people were not expecting, like these weird typings. Basically the Delta species is whenever a Pokemon has a different type than what it usually has.
That was the idea with this. How the way the card game works, I mean, what is it like? Was it a block of sets that featured these? Like a block? Is that what it's called?
Generally speaking, there's a new set or like a new like expansion, if you want to say that, like a new design on the booster packs that you'll see at Target or whatever every 3 months or so. And they all generally kind of go together in the same theme. Like they're based on the same video games, so there'll be like maybe 10 sets that are based on Diamond and Pearl, something like that. So there will be the original like Diamond and Pearl set, and then there's like an expansion that's maybe more focused on like, let's say, fire and water types for 3 months, where those types of Pokemon get like a big boost. And then there will be another set that adds a new mechanic to it, and like it kind of is this evolving, continually released thing. Like every 3 months there's a bunch of new cards coming out.
No, I think the sets that featured the Delta species Pokemon came out in Gen 3 is what I gather just from what Pokemon I see present in the set.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And actually I could go grab my little magazine thing from the other room because that might be a useful resource. Let me go get that real quick. Yeah, cool. Right back.
Me too.
Okay, sorry for the delay, I'm back. So I've got my totally unofficial Everything Pokemon book. Got the book.
Right. Got the book, awesome. All right, so the cool thing that this set or block or whatever of cards did was they introduced a new region exclusive to the TCG, which was really cool. It's called Holon, Holon, and it's this land which is, I guess, coursing with electromagnetic energy, and it has a lot of interesting locations: Mirage Forest, Holon Lake, a mountain range, some mysterious islands off coast, and a whole lore behind it, which is really interesting.
Yeah, as far as I know, this is the first time when the TCG kind of made up something. And I totally didn't realize this, honestly, until like a few weeks ago, because I thought it was just part of Diamond and Pearl, because I never played Diamond and Pearl. Like, that was around the time when I was like going off to college and stuff. So honestly, like, that's the main Pokemon generation that I was like, those were like my dark ages when I wasn't playing the games. I was still playing the older games. Like, I really loved Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald, and I played those over and over again, and then just kind of skipped a generation there, missed out on Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. So during that time, I was playing these cards, and I kept seeing the name Holon come up, or Holon, or however you want to say it, but I kept seeing it come up in the cards, and I was like, that must be, you know, the region from Diamond and Pearl. But then recently I realized it's a totally original thing. Before that, the trading card game had the kind of, like you said, like they kind of slapped on theming that would match up with like the show or the video games, like including, you know, Brock as a card that does, you know, whatever. It's like not really that well themed. It's just kind of like, here are some gameplay mechanics, here are some Pokemon that are popular, whatever, just kind of smash them together. And they're just kind of following along with the release of the video games. You know, when Ruby and Sapphire came out, all the new Pokemon were in the trading card game, that kind of thing. But then for this one, like these cards came out a little bit before Diamond and Pearl. So I think they maybe just had a few gaps in the release schedule where they're like, you know, we don't really have to do anything that special right here. We already did our big Emerald tie-in. Diamond and Pearl's not till next year. Let's do something a little bit crazy. And I think this is a situation where the designers really got to kind of do what they wanted to do instead of just like, here are the top Pokemon and trainers you need to include in this set. It's like, we can do what we want to here. Let's do something really crazy. And for that, even though they included their own region, like I feel like that is not even necessary, but they added this whole new gameplay mechanic. I really love it.
Yeah, I appreciate it because, I mean, as I said, one of my major beefs with it is I appreciate Pokemon media that, like, takes the franchise seriously and shows me that the people creating it have some interest in it and aren't just pumping something out as part of the money-making machine. So I like the comics that don't feel like they just took screen caps from the anime. And, I like this set, like the fact that they have a lore to go with Holon and this whole new creative way of looking at Pokemon and new ways to make them interesting and new again, both in the gameplay mechanics and the context of like fictional creatures.
It's really cool, and I love when any piece of media gets a chance to kind of explore something new and try something out and, make that Lego Batman or whatever. They went on and made their own thing. So the name of this region, Holon, seems to come from the Greek word which means hole, holos, which a holon is a thing, like, it's even got its own Wikipedia article. It's like kind of a concept in general, I guess in philosophy technically, but it's something that is simultaneously a whole and a part of a whole, almost like a fractal, which it's kind of an interesting concept. Like, this is like, a flock of geese. You could consider them one big moving part, but then at any moment, one goose could just kind of take off and do its own thing. So I don't know. It's almost like a fractal where each individual is a part of this overall larger individual, but they're still their own system. They have their own nervous system. They have all this stuff going on inside of them. It's very much like a fractal to me. It's an interesting name.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a biological, like that's a great example, but it could also be, I mean, you're saying a fractal, like I'm sure it could also apply to like, I can't think of other examples. I don't know, mathematical systems or just whatever. I guess the idea, it's a very flawed idea and it's incorrect, but it still would fit. It's just incorrect. It would still fit this context. But the idea that like an atom and a solar system mimic each other in their design would be an example of that too. I think it's related to. I have a tenuous grasp of things like this, but the idea of like some people say the universe is a hologram, and what that means isn't like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. But a hologram being something that a piece of it contains the information for the whole. So you could get just a piece of the hologram, but you'd be able to extract the whole hologram out of it. So if somebody like held their hand in front of one part of it, you'd still be able to make the whole hologram like shorter, like underneath their hand. I don't know. Like I said, I have a very tenuous grasp. Don't call me stupid. Just I'm trying to understand, but I'm pretty sure that it comes from the same root word as Holon or Holon or whatever.
And I mean, I'm always interested in how the naming schemes of different Pokemon regions come about, but this one does feel kind of different, where they just kind of took, an existing word, and they're like, yeah, this is the name of our region. It's a cool word, Holon.
Well, you know why? Is because the people developing these side Pokemon games, when they decide to do a new region, they weren't in on what the core series developers were doing, because it took the fans several years to figure it out, but we could always tell there was something different about like the region from Pokemon Coliseum, or this region in the TCG, or a region from like Mystery Dungeon. There was always something that didn't quite feel right. It didn't have the same weight and gravity and lived-in-ness as these other ones, and there was something thematically off about it. And we couldn't put our finger on it, and then eventually somebody noticed, hey, these are all like based and inspired on like real world regions and places, and there's a consistency there. And the people, they didn't tell the people making the TCG, because they have no reason to. Like, they're like, fine, money-making machine, do whatever you want. You own the franchise. Just give us creative control over our games. And this is, the mentality there is just, it's not the same as like the mentality of like, we're Disney and we own Star Wars and we're going to create this multimedia empire that has, like canonicity, because that appeals to like American fanboys. But
and maybe that was on purpose, so it wouldn't feel like part of the main canon. So it's like, obviously this comes from some kind of spin-off. Like, this is not a main series Pokemon continent. It's not canonical or whatever.
Sure. I don't think without knowing what they're doing, though, and without picking up on that, I don't blame them. I didn't know it till I read it on Reddit. But that they were doing that is, it's not a bad attempt. I appreciate that they did what it was clear that the Pokemon Core Series developers were doing, and took a real-world influence and wove that into the naming of these things and the identity of these things. It's also called Holon because a Holon is, something to do with electrons, like a electron subparticle or something, and this region is supposed to, like, course with electromagnetic energy.
Yeah, and I guess one of the, like, main draws of this area is all the people here are searching for Mew. There's something connected to that kind of Mew legend, Mew lore. And so they're kind of exploring these unique, like, the magneticism of this place. Like, there's just something about it. And so I guess somehow they're manipulating the waves of electromagnetic energy.
Yeah.
This, like, the large tower here, like, there's a picture here of, like, kind of like electricity coming out of this tower. And I guess somehow that's connected to research with Mew. I'm not exactly sure.
There's a city named Holon, which is also the name of the region, so it's a Holon. It's a part that's also a hole.
Ah, clever.
And, yeah. That city was founded by scientists, and they built this big tower in the center of Holon, and Holon's like located, I guess, in this mirage forest, which Mew lives there, or a Mew. We'll talk about that later. And it's this tower, I guess there's some technology there where it focuses and manipulates these electromagnetic waves, which were supposed to help them track Mew, which I don't know how that works. Don't ask me. Is there any basis, sensei, to electromagnetic waves helping you like track a creature? Or maybe even an energy signature?
It could be. And so electromagnetism is like, it sounds super confusing, but it's essentially like the source of where magnets come from and also where electricity comes from. Those two things are very much connected. Like, you can use magnets to create electricity, and you can use electricity to create magnets, which is super weird and kind of confusing. But electromagnetism is kind of like why Earth has its poles. Like, our core of our planet has kind of created this special, like, electromagnetic conditions, which coincidentally also protect us from, like, solar flares, and there's all kinds of, like, next level, really big, zoom out, big picture things that electromagnetism is giving us. But then if you zoom in a little bit, it's also what allows us to generate electricity and, fun little magnetic toys and stuff. So it's kind of crazy how it all kind of comes together. So in tracking Mew, tracking in general relies on the magnetic poles. Magnetic north allows us to use like a compass. So I'm sure there's something related to tracking Mew down that could use electricity and magnets to help find this very elusive, very rare, very legendary Pokemon. So
okay,
it seems scientific enough. I'm sure there's something electromagnetic that would help you find Mew.
Cool. That works then. There was a side effect, though, an unintended side effect and consequence of their actions. These electromagnetic waves apparently affected local Pokemon and caused them to mutate to have different types. Most often metal, although it seems the farther away from the tower and the farther away from the mainland of Holon, the less likely it is that they'll have the metal type. It's metal and not steel in the card game.
Yeah.
I may go back and forth and accidentally call it steel a few times, and we'll get more into that later too. But it is very interesting. It apparently, I think it actually specifically says that it unlocked dormant genes within these Pokemon, which hints that much like you may have a dormant gene for red hair and not know it because it's dormant, a Pokemon may have dormant genes for other types. And I think that's cool. I've heard people theorize that this means Pokemon have the genes for every type in them. And I do think that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I think it would be even more interesting if it was just like, well, that Pokemon's parent, one of them, even though it's a Bulbasaur, one of their parents was a Grovyle or something, and that had a different, they have the same type, don't they? I don't know. But you know what I mean, like a different Pokemon from the same egg group that was able to breed with that Pokemon and produce an offspring that didn't belong to its same species, but belonged to its mother's species. Perhaps it would pass down dormant genes of its type, much like it would pass down its nature and whatnot.
Totally. And the fact that there are Pokemon moves that change the typing means it must be possible to kind of change your type or like sort of transition in between them, even if it's temporarily. There's like a connection within each Pokemon to other types. It's kind of an interesting idea.
Because there are moves that can change your opponent's type too. So, and I mean, there's things that, for lack of a better word, are quote unquote magic in the Pokemon universe. So at some point it could just be that. But I think there is an underlying... I have a theory that I've really been thinking about, and I'm trying to... I want to hold off on talking too deeply about it because I want to really sort it out and get Jeremy on the episode. But we're going to touch upon it near the end when we reflect on everything we're talking about because I think it's relevant.
That sounds awesome. I'm pumped about that. That's great.
So the region does have some interesting features you see represented in certain cards. There's Holon Lake with this interesting rock formation that looks suspiciously like the Metal-type Energy logo and is also home to a shiny Gyarados. There's a mountain range whose caves are home to a lot of fossil Pokemon, and that brings me to an interesting question. I know the card game is questionably canon, so it's sort of pointless to sit here and debate the canonicity of it, but I also think, then what's the point of doing a fucking Silph radio on it if we're not going to have fun with it? So are these fossil Pokemon like ancient remnants, like evidence that they didn't actually go extinct, like Nessie or something? Or are they just sort of the natural consequence of us reintroducing these ancient extinct species to the world once we started bringing them back, and now there's a few pockets of wild populations developing?
Do you just mean fossils within the Pokemon world in general?
Well, no, the fossil Pokemon, like Kabutops, Aerodactyl, Omanite, like those Pokemon went extinct millions of years ago. But there are certain Pokemon games, not usually main series games, but other things that the card game in this case that depict them as still being able to be found in the wild. So if these mountain ranges in Holon have breeding populations of Kabutops in them, does that mean that Kabutops didn't actually go extinct? They were just hiding undiscovered in this cave system? Or does it mean that because we brought them back, there have been a few that were released, or, maybe we did actually deliberately put breeding populations there? I wouldn't put it past the fucking scientists in Holon. But is this just a consequence of us reintroducing them to the ecosystem, and now there's a few, because some asshole released his Kabutops, and now there's a few breeding populations in the wild, too? I sort of lean towards the latter, but I was curious what you thought.
Yeah, I totally think this is after Jurassic Park went horribly wrong, and some of these monsters that we brought back have escaped and entered nature, and life finds a way. It's they're gonna get out somehow. They're gonna continue to repopulate, and
yeah,
they lived on the same planet at some point, so they're gonna do decently well here. We might have slightly different plants and stuff, but I'm sure they can adapt to modern life.
Pokemon are nothing if not adaptive. That's definitely...
they evolve multiple times in each lifetime, so...
Yeah.
What other species does that?
Each individual. There's also a few islands off the shore. There's Mysterious Island, which it's full of these large crystals, and this was the focus of the EX Crystal Guardians expansion. And then there's like a distant island chain, which is the focus of the EX Dragon Frontiers expansion. And I guess these places, especially the Dragon Frontiers one, have more Pokemon that don't have the metal type. So... let's talk about the Delta species. Like, that's what the fucking episode's about. Like, the Holon region's fun and all, but the Delta species is what we're here to talk about. That's what piqued my interest, and yours.
This is what totally captivated me and made me, research it. I immediately, looked it up once I was looking through this guide, and I saw that expansion. I was like, where did those things come from? I thought Holon was a region from Diamond and Pearl, but it's not. So then where did this all come from? And that's what made me realize it's a totally original thing. It's crazy. This would be really cool to cover in the video game context. I think that'd be so fun to be able to kind of breed Pokemon to kind of control what typing they have. That'd be really fascinating.
Yeah.
Even within the same species. It'd be awesome.
The way they're Pokemon with different types than they would normally have, and they don't generally look physically different, though they do often have an aura, which sort of denotes their new type, their aberrant type, if you will. And they generally retain their type weaknesses, oddly. So, I don't know, I don't have the card in front of me to check, but I would assume, because there's a fire type Kingdra. So I would assume this Kingdra would still be weak to, grass type attacks, which is interesting to see a fire type Pokemon weak to grass type attacks. But it makes sense if the Pokemon still lives in water and is still an aquatic creature. It's just now it has an additional fire type imposed upon it by a genetic mutation at the hands of mankind's hubris. Maybe it would still be weak to grass type attacks. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it looks like that Kingdra in particular is weak to electric, which also makes sense because it's water type.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fire type Pokemon, but it's weak to electric because it was kind of originally, or its ancestors were water type. It's a really interesting thing.
It is. I would have really liked to see original palettes for some of these new Delta forms, but I do sort of appreciate that they didn't give them full on different color schemes. They don't really make them look physically different in drastic ways, and I like that.
Yeah.
It kind of makes them special in that sense because it shows restraint, which I really appreciate. They could have went all out and had a water type Arcanine that has a dolphin tail and a dorsal fin, and that would be taking it too far because a Pokemon fan would kind of look at that and be like, yeah, I know, but that's why the TCG isn't canon, because that's not a thing.
Right.
And I'm sort of tempted to consider these canon, and that's probably the line. If they had crossed that line, I think I'd still want to do a Silph radio about it for sure, but it would be from the lens of what a silly side series that has no relevance.
It starts to kind of look like Fakemon from DeviantArt or something.
Yeah.
It looks really cool, but it's that's not quite a Pokemon. It's maybe twisted a little bit too far to even be considered the same species as the original. But
yeah,
if you just look at the card art of these characters, they look pretty normal. There's nothing different about the art, but then when you zoom out and look at the actual card, it's totally the wrong color. Like, totally the wrong type. Like, Aerodactyl is not fire type. Like, why is his card red? It's really exciting to open those booster packs and be like, what, why is this Tyranitar electric type? Like, that is so weird and so cool. I love it.
Absolutely. Like Alolan forms, it adds another level of fun. And in a way, while the Alolan forms are clearly kind of cooler in a way because they're official core series things for one, and they do look like drastically different. The Alolan Vulpix is like, while it's considered same species, it's an entirely different form for the species, and that's awesome. And that is so much more fun in its own way. But in their own way, this is kind of more fun too, because like there's so many more. We're not going to be able to talk about all of them, or else we'd just be like listing them. There's this one, there's this one, there's this one, and that would be boring for everyone involved. But
true, but I think
it offers like a new thing that Alolan Pokemon don't, because they're only going to make so many Alolan Pokemon, and that's the way I'd prefer it. I don't want an Alolan version of every fucking Pokemon. I don't even want an Alolan version of all 150 original ones.
Right.
With this, there's like 70, 80, I don't know, different Pokemon, and I would be tempted to allow you to, like, if we were doing a Pokemon tabletop role-playing game and you wanted to have a Delta species Pokemon on your team, I'd be like, let me think about it. You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, why not? Like, why not add a little more personalization to your character? It doesn't break the canon. I'm not going to let you have a lightsaber, but,
But these are so unique, and it's kind of like why I love the Alolan forms. That's a much more like restrained version than this, although, this was their first chance as these trading card game designers. It's like, do your thing, and, the spotlight is on you, and they're like, holy crap, wait, me? Like, now? Really? I totally get it, why they made so many Delta species Pokemon, but in the main series game, it's kind of cool that they're introducing, a few Alolan forms, and then maybe in the next game there'll be like a few more variations like this. These kind of Delta species are like started to get incorporated, and it might be kind of cool if eventually you find out there's a larger electromagnetic change going on, and that's causing these type shifts across the planet. I think that'd be really cool if they kind of tie in Delta species into the storyline.
I'm okay with it. Maybe it's because I'm getting old. I feel like when I was younger, I would be so much more resistant to a lot of the changes, like the multiverse, Ultra Beasts, Alolan forms. I'd be like, guys, you're losing what I like about Pokemon. And then the Pokemon that I don't like that just look like, that's not a Pokemon. And nowadays, I'm so much more willing to accept it, and I think there are still lines they could cross where I'd be like, all right, guys, you're starting to lose what I like about Pokemon, but I don't think they have. I think they're toying with that line, and I think what they're actually doing is they're like finding ways to nudge it like an inch, not very far. They're like nudging it an inch further, and they're like, you like what I did there? You just accepted me nudging the line you'd let us cross a little further with our noses as we we were like, let's not cross the line. Let's just move that line with us along as we go. And I like that. That's what I think Star Wars is trying to do. And I think Pokemon does it expertly, and Star Wars is doing a decent job, I'll say.
Starting to change people's expectations, you mean? Like we're going to change what this means to you a little bit, but not so much that it scares you away.
Sure, and where is the line that you'll draw? Like, I don't want aliens in Jurassic Park.
Right.
But where is the line that I will draw where I'm like, all right, guys, this isn't a Jurassic Park movie anymore, and I'm like, no, you know what? You can start to, like, right now they're going to start taking it off the island and make them not movies about dinosaurs chasing people on an island, and I'm kind of like, no, that's kind of what I love about it.
That's all I've ever known.
Like, you know what? Like, I love the island, and I kind of want to see, but, I also love when he's in San Diego, and, I'm interested to see, but we're not talking Jurassic Park. I'll take that in a whole different direction. Ooh, Delta form dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother episode.
Fire type blue. Okay, no, where was I going with this? What were we talking about? I love some of these changes they're making, and I would be okay with them introducing like Delta forms into the games too, and having a lot more of them than the Alolan forms, and still doing Mega Evolutions and Alolan forms, or I've been saying Uwaven forms. Uwava is the fictional future region in my hypotheticals that I pose. So, like, you know, that if they make a new region, do a set of, like, 10, 20 new old Pokemon with forms for this region, too. Yeah. And maybe have 50 Delta forms that you can find that are not really different, although I like the idea of them being slightly... Like, maybe the electric type Charizard is slightly more orange than red than a regular Charizard, but it's a very slight difference.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to introduce them into the games, you have to be able to tell what type they are just from looking at them, whereas in the trading card game, they're surrounded by this huge, colorful block that represents what color... what type they are, what type of energy they take, that kind of thing. So yeah, I like that idea a lot.
I agree. You should be able to tell, but maybe it would be like, you know how subtle shinies, if you don't catch the twinkle, it might take you a minute to realize it's a shiny if you miss the little twinkle at the start. Maybe it could be like such a subtle difference, and there is no twinkle. So like the main way you might realize it, if it's like the Steel Type Pikachu just has a sort of beige tint to it, but it's still like yellow, just a little duller yellow. You might not realize it until it starts hitting you with Steel Type attacks, and you're like, oh, holy shit, this is a Delta species Pikachu.
That's pretty cool. But then I think people might think it's a shiny. You know what I mean? Like, it might be hard to kind of tell the difference between a shiny version of this Pokemon and the Delta species version. Unless maybe each generation only introduces a few, kind of like with the Alolan Pokemon. It's like, these are the new ones to look out for, so people will be aware that, you know, maybe that's not a shiny version, maybe that's the Delta species version, then they'll start to get used to it. You know, just a few, they can digest a few each generation until they recognize the differences.
Like, we're not going to have shiny Deltas. Like, I actually... They do it in the card game, and they're some of my favorite Delta species. So, actually, I got to change my mind. We will have shiny Deltas. So, I think if they were going to cosmetically change them, it should just be a very slight change, not change the palette. Don't have a yellow Charizard if it's electric type. Just slightly more orange, and the black one would be slightly more gray or something. But,
that sounds awesome.
They would have to do so much work. They're not going to do this.
And,
but
that's something that might be kind of cool about introducing Delta species is it might do kind of like what the Alolan forms did, where it's like, here are some old Pokemon that, maybe the older gamers might remember and might really love, Vulpix or whatever. And then it also makes them a little bit more exciting for the newer players. It seems like it's a new Pokemon, even though it's kind of an old one, because people tend to get down, like, dislike the newer Pokemon designs a lot. And one way to kind of steer away from that is also reintroduce some old ones or kind of remix some of the old Pokemon types. I think that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Definitely catches people's attention.
I love the Pokemon like the spiky-eared Pichu or Surfing Pikachu, or there's not just Pikachus. There's a few other Pokemon that there's slight little variations. Usually they're giveaways, but it hints that like spiky-eared Pichu is just this rare genetic variant that you don't see in the wild very often. But it's cool. Like, yeah. I don't know. I like that. And, another key difference between Alolan forms and Delta Pokemon is that Alolan forms naturally occurred. It's sort of evolution over macro evolution as opposed to this weird micro evolution that exists in the Pokemon universe.
Wow. Yeah.
Whereas the Delta Pokemon, this was something at first when I looked them up to see what they were, I was a little disappointed that it was a result of mankind, like science gone wrong. Like, it seems a little B-movie-ish to me. But then the more I thought about it, I like it because it does give them their own identity. And one of the themes that's consistent through Pokemon is nature's effect on us and our effect on nature and the interplay between us. And there are a lot of Pokemon species that have specifically developed from aspects of mankind's culture. So maybe this is like we're witnessing the seeds of what millions of years from now will be like a Garbodor. We've had garbage for thousands of years. So since Pokemon evolution happens so fast, an entirely new species may have developed over thousands of years.
Wow.
And 1,000 years from now, Delta species Pokemon may be entirely new forms of evolutions or something like that.
That's awesome. And it doesn't have to be as like tragic as like the Mewtwo tale. This could have been partially natural because like there's just some weird electromagnetism going on there anyway, and that's why the scientists moved in. So maybe there were already some minor, variations going on in the just wild Pokemon in the area, and maybe they've tampered with that a little bit. But yeah, you're totally right. Humans are in the end just another kind of animal.
Yes.
We tend to have a much bigger impact on the planet, but in the long run, we're just a very invasive species, and eventually we'll be, I don't know. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, who knows in the long run? But I think culture and history and society is natural. I was going to say is sort of natural. It's not sort of natural. It is natural. Yes, it is aberrant, but that is natural too. Like, that is the seed of evolution, is mutation and difference, and like that. So yeah, I
wow,
it is. It's fascinating, and I like it. I'm gonna say I'm sort of accepting Delta Pokemon into my head canon, although I'm also gonna challenge that at the end of this episode and say I am, but with kind of a caveat. But I am. So almost to anyone who wants to send us their teams too, as we've been asking people to do, feel free to throw a fucking Delta Pokemon if you're like, no, I really like Electric type Dragonite. I think that'd be dope to have on my team. I am totally okay with that. No legendaries. You put a legendary on your team, I'm probably not going to read it on the show. I'm just going to say that. If you put a fucking legendary on your team, I'm probably not going to read it on the show. And if I do read it on the show, I'm going to poke a little fun at you, but it will be in good nature. It's all good.
Legendaries are OP. And in a way, everyone wants to be the star of their own story, and that's kind of the whole point of the Pokemon games, is you are the chosen one. You're the one who can get all of these totally unique Pokemon. But I feel like with the slight variations in the way that different Pokemon look, and we were kind of saying with maybe this eventual gradual change of the same species having multiple types, I think that'd be kind of cool if, the next few generations of Pokemon games, you see some really, really unique things. So then those really high-level players, who are out looking for shinies and IV training, EV training, all that stuff, they can get the Pokemon that is exactly the type they want with, the specific visual variation. I'm just excited about a time when the Pokemon games kind of depict your Pokemon as fully customized to you and fully having the unique characteristics that maybe you see in them. When you first choose your starter Pokemon and you're looking at this Squirtle or whatever, this is me, going back to my first moments with the game. That Squirtle seemed it's like looking into a newborn baby's face for the first time. There's this weird connection and imprint. But then you look at your friend Squirtle and it looks exactly the same. It has exactly the same stats. And it takes a lot of that kind of magic away from it.
Yeah.
But I feel like eventually the games will get so good where they can have slight graphical changes between each one. And, it'll be more like a fingerprint than just another carbon copy.
Adding in the lowland forms and delta species and everything, maybe we could also find a way to counteract the fact that the system was broke. And I'm okay with it being broke, but by that I mean EVs, IVs. They've also counteracted it by making it easier for people to do that. But still, I think making it easier for people to do that, I appreciate that. That is great that Nintendo did that. I really do appreciate that, because it makes it tough for you to battle with your friends if you don't have time and dedication to EV breed and IV train, or did I get that backwards? But it still is a problem, because it still makes it but you're still going to put together, there's going to be 4 teams that people put together for competitive battling. And if I want to put a Farfetch'd on my team, it's putting me at a severe disadvantage. I might as well go in there with 5 Pokemon on my team, But maybe if we add these more variations where you can have there isn't a Delta species Farfetch'd, unfortunately, but if there was a Delta species Farfetch'd that had a secondary type which gave it an advantage and the ability to learn new moves that it didn't have before, that would be really cool. That even introduce, isn't that what EX Pokemon are? Is they have a move that those Pokemon don't normally have?
I'm not exactly sure. I feel like that title has come to mean different things over the years.
Well, maybe even have that. There's Pokemon, how there's surfing Pikachus. Maybe there's Pokemon you can run into in the wild and there's no visual cue. You just have to get hit with a move that you didn't know they have. And it's not called a Delta species or an EX. It's just just like there's a surfing Pikachu and it's not a separate Pokedex entry. It has no physical differences. You could just run into this Pokemon in the wild and then be like, whoa, I didn't know that Pokemon had Surf, and like I'm gonna catch this because it's different, and that would allow more opportunities to customize these Pokemon and get strategy to be more in the hands of the players so they can have a personalized team. I also proposed a few episodes ago, since the card game had Dark Charizard and stuff in the Team Rocket set and Dark Raichu. This was before Dark was a type. And then later, after Dark was a type, Team Aqua Pokemon would sometimes have Dark as a secondary type. I proposed maybe if you lived a bad lifestyle, I think it'd be cool if maybe a Pokemon that had a singular type or something could adopt Dark as a secondary type.
Yes. Dude, like a morality system almost.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with you just being able to be like, fuck it, I want a fire-type Bulbasaur. No, they have to make up a Delta species Bulbasaur that's fire-type for me to be okay with that. The creators have to say, yes, we've approved fire-type Bulbasaur. But Dark-type? Fuck it, add Dark-type. Why not?
How about something really crazy where, like, when you first turn on your game, you get one of this item. It's kind of randomly generated. It's like a next level, like, stone, like an evolutionary stone kind of, but let's say you get the fire one, and each person literally only gets one, and you can use this on any one Pokemon and it will add that type to them. So if you want this fire type Bulbasaur, that's the only like Delta species type thing you get to pick. It's your only one you're going to have. So you have suddenly your Bulbasaur now is fire and grass type, and then you could trade it and breed it and...
Let's ignore the fact that it's an insurmountable amount of work that we would expect them to do, because this is Silph Radio. The idea is unlimited budget, do whatever the fuck you want. We'll pay them however much we need to pay them to program individual move sets for each. So then is there individual move sets that now your Bulbasaur is going to learn Fire Spin and stuff? Because otherwise it would be a little useless.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe there's just like a generic a fire skill tree that they get access to at certain levels.
Or maybe, I mean, I'm sort of changing your whole idea here, but here's an idea that I'm a little more comfortable. I like your idea, but here's something I'm a little more comfortable with. What if they gave you a randomized TM that was like, here is the ultimate fire attack, or here is the ultimate grass attack, or the ultimate water attack, and we are going to let you teach this TM to any Pokemon you want. It is a special TM. It's not even a TM or a HM. It'll be like a NM, or I don't know what it'll be called, some other letter.
Yeah.
And
cool.
An SM. No, that has connotations. I was going to say special machine. I don't know. A technique machine and a hidden machine. So it'd be a random machine, an RM. I don't know. But like you get that, and like you can use it on any Pokemon. So you can be like, you know what? I really want this Pokemon to have a move that counters its type disadvantage. Or you could be like, you know how Charizard learns like the ultimate fire move, but maybe your Ninetales doesn't learn that ultimate fire move like Charizard does. So I just want to give my Ninetales this ultimate fire move so it'll stab with it,
Yeah. That's cool.
That would be sweet. Yeah. So Delta Pokemon, what are, like, there's so many cool ones, and I want to stop myself from just listing them.
Yeah.
But we've got to talk about like some of the cool specific Delta species Pokemon that they've introduced.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorites?
So this is just from me, playing competitively and feeling like an attachment to the Pokemon cards that I pulled out of booster packs. It's kind of that whole imprinting thing. When you first see it, it's like, this is my card. Like, I have a special connection with this thing. My friends don't have this one. It's kind of a cool feeling, but I always liked the Ludicolo family in the trading card game. I know there's some kind of like, racial issues with that Pokemon, but there's a fire type Ludicolo, and I already like was running some of his family in my deck. And so that really changed things a lot. It was like, whoa, so now this water type Pokemon with some grass moves can evolve into a fire type Pokemon, and it really kind of changed some things. And then
introducing Spicy Hot Ludicolo. Spicy Hot Fire type Ludicolo.
Caliente.
Yeah, it is really cool looking. The art on that one's really cool too. It is a really cool variation because it's like a double opposite. It's a grass water type, so to become a fire type is dope. And even though it's kind of racist that it's fitting, it's like fitting in a racist way, which is appropriate for that Pokemon. So I'm okay with it because that's a racist ass Pokemon to begin with. So fuck it, you can't save it. Why not go with it?
Yeah, there you go. And then the other one that I really loved in my decks were the Tyrannitars. There's one that I think is purely electric, and then one that's dark and fighting or ground, I guess. And then there's also a fire and metal type Tyranitar. So I think there's actually 3 different ones in the Delta species.
Yeah,
that were pretty sweet. Like that's a really cool, kaiju type Pokemon. And
I like
just getting,
Tyranitar.
Yeah, getting different types is cool.
He's not one of my favorites, but right when I saw those, I was like, oh, I bet people fucking love that. Like, that's cool that they created that, because that's kind of fan servicey in a good way. It fits. I like it.
Yeah, fan service can be a good thing sometimes. And there were some really cool gameplay mechanics that were added in with the electric type one in particular.
Yeah, a lot of them, we're gonna not mention a lot of really cool ones.
Yeah.
But one thing that's repeated with it is a lot of Pokemon will be a different type. So say the Dratini and Dragonair are electric type, but then when it evolves to its final form, it also is Steel type or Metal type. So it'll be, and it's not electric, but Lightning type in the card game. And I have some thoughts at the end about why is it different, and questions, but a few thoughts too.
Good.
So for a lot of Pokemon in the final form, they gain the Steel type in addition to this weird type. I love the starters. There's an electric metal Charizard. There's a dark type Charizard, which also fucking happens to be a shiny Charizard.
Yeah, they went all the way over the top with that.
There's also, it's not a starter, but a fire type red Gyarados, which is cool. Fire type shiny Gyarados. And, there's a few other ones. A blue Mew that's water. Mm-hmm. Sadly, no Venusaur, but there's a fighting metal Blastoise. Or, it's fighting in the card game, but fighting is also rock and ground type.
Yeah, they kind of converge a lot of types together in the trading card game.
It's probably a rock type Blastoise, actually.
Yeah, that would make sense. And yeah, listeners, I mean, if you want to tell us your favorite Delta species, go ahead over to the subreddit, right?
Yeah, please, the subreddit.
Reddit/r/ is it Silph Radio? Just one word? Yeah.
Yep, r/Silph Radio. Please, reddit.com/r/Silph Radio. Like, if you're not a Redditor, I'm telling you, man, make up a Reddit account.
It's so good.
I want to talk to you about it, or join us on the Facebook.
Yeah, let's continue that conversation.
Fuck yeah, there's a Psychic Ninetales. A Psychic Ninetales.
It's pretty dope.
It is. I should stop myself, because if I keep listing them, a Psychic Omastar, a lot of the really cool ones are Psychic type. Fire type Heracross, that's pretty cool.
It just breaks down the barriers of what you thought was possible with Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's a Pokemon that you've always loved your whole life, suddenly it's a new type, and that changes everything. Like, now you're not exclusively a water type trainer anymore. Like, now you have to be a fire type trainer because your favorite Pokemon's fire type now. Like, I don't know. It really helps to kind of push you into new directions.
I'm picturing. Do you listen to Postal Service? The Postal Service?
Yeah, I've heard them.
Oh yeah, they're great. They have one album too. So if you don't, check them out. They got one album, easily digestible. But I'm picturing suddenly everything has changed. Just the somber tones of that song playing while this Pokemon suddenly realizes everything it's known. Because these Pokemon were mutated. They were born one type and then changed to this type. And perhaps they breed and pass it on. I like that idea. But this one Pokemon that is just suddenly realizing everything it's known has changed. And it's just like suddenly everything has changed. And you know who it probably is? Only one Pokemon was changed to colorless type, which I feel like is a demotion. Maybe that's not fair, because normal type is not. Normal type is special too. Some Pokemon are just normal, but
yeah, sure.
If I was the Ampharos, that is the only Delta species, the only one that was changed to colorless type, I lost my electric type, I would feel so sad.
Point of information, there's also a Seal and a Mareep that went to colorless, so similarly tragic. Oh, and a Flaffy. That is kind of weird. Like, it feels like they're like stripping them of their powers a little bit.
Yeah, in the interest of moving things along, I'm going to X out my tab that has all these cards on there, because otherwise I will get caught up on
solidarity.
Like, oh, there's a this one. Guys, there's a that one. And I feel like you got stuff to do, and so do our listeners. But there's still so much more I want to talk about, though. First, mainly with the Delta Pokemon, the ones that we can't pass over is the legendaries. This is the seeds of my caveat. So they're really cool. There's a Fire and Steel type Mewtwo, a Lightning type Mewtwo. There's like a bunch of different Rayquazas. There's 3 different Deoxyses. Lightning, colorless. Oh, there's a colorless Deoxys. Okay. And a dark type. The problem with all the legendaries, and there's a Rayquaza and Latios and Latias, is like most of these, there's only one of. Like there's explicitly only one Mewtwo. It's not impossible for there to be more. Mewtwo could have made more. Mewtwo could have can you breed Mewtwo? No, it's probably not breedable. But Mewtwo could have made more, or if Giovanni funded it, or whoever made Mewtwo could have made more. But I really think that didn't happen. I don't like the idea that happened. Like,
dude,
let's not have another Death Star. You know, like let Mewtwo be this unique individual, and they learned from their mistakes and didn't make a new one.
What if Mewtwo like got corrupted and Mewtwo made more Mewtwo's? Like Mewtwo mind controls Giovanni to create a new lab that Mewtwo is leading and making more, like making an army. That could be a movie, but I think you're right. But remember, they're doing research with electromagnetism, so maybe they're sending these blasts out into the forests hoping to catch Mew, and they keep changing the typings on these Pokemon.
Also, it's possible. So the first thing that pops up is the obvious answer is, okay, it's an alternate dimension. The TCG is a different dimension. So in that world, Mewtwo was affected by these Delta Rays, and so was Rayquaza. But then there's also the problem that there's an electric Rayquaza, there's a fire steel Rayquaza. Why is there more than one Rayquaza? Well, maybe it's multiple dimensions still. And since this is a card game, well, okay, wow. Actually, I was going to say earlier, but the conversation flowed. I let it go.
Yeah.
Fall to the wayside. When we were talking about a Magic Pokemon set, I was like, the trainers could be planeswalkers, and then the creatures could be Pokemon. In Magic, for those who don't know Magic, there are these cards now called planeswalkers, but the original idea back in the day was that you, the person playing, is the planeswalker. So all these different sets they release are different worlds, and that's why they have themes and stories that go with them that are different and unconnected. But you are a planeswalker, someone who can travel through these worlds, learn different spells from different worlds, learn to summon creatures from different worlds, and build your own deck, and then fight other planeswalkers. So the idea is when you sit down to play a game of Magic, you're dueling another planeswalker with all these different things you've learned by traveling through different planes of existence. So perhaps in Pokemon, we know the idea of the card game is you are a Pokemon trainer who has caught different Pokemon, and now you're going to have a battle with another person. That's the idea of the Pokemon card game. So you've caught these Pokemon. The Mewtwo is a Pokemon that you have caught in the context of this Pokemon game. So perhaps you are also, much like in Magic, playing a fucking planeswalker. You're playing a Rick Sanchez who has learned how to travel to different universes and has captured, because you never see a wild Pokemon in a Pokemon card game battle. You just see captured Pokemon. So there's more than one Rayquaza because you're from different universes. I just put together like talking about it. I didn't prepare this argument, but I love it.
I totally love that. And the Pokemon trading card game has like this inherent weirdness that doesn't match up with the video games, because it's very similar to Magic, like you said. Like if you want to use a Kabutops in your deck, you have to have the fossil, and then that evolves into the Kabuto, and then that evolves into the Kabutops during a battle. Like, it's very abstract and very weird.
Yeah.
If you want to have a Blastoise, you have to have its full evolutionary line, and it has to start out, as a Squirtle and evolve up. So there is something weird about the trading card game. I totally like the idea of it being in a kind of a Planeswalker kind of multiverse kind of thing. That makes sense. I love that.
Yeah. And you can also, I think that's an acceptable area to be like, well, that's kind of like, it's a game, so we have to introduce mechanics, which might not be entirely how it's represented in universe. Like, you don't turn anything sideways in Magic, you know what I mean? So that's, it still could be an aspect. Maybe there's universes where things just happen so much faster like that. or maybe these planeswalkers, Pokemon are so disposable, and the way that they manipulate the energy is they know, because these planeswalkers, they like, if that's what we're going with, this is super headcanny, guys, so like I don't expect you to just adopt it. It is one of the bigger leaps in Silph Radio, but I like it. If we're gonna fucking say the TCG is canon in any sense, this is the way I think I'm most comfortable with it, because otherwise you're gonna have to fan wink pretty hard, like, and I think this is the smallest leap.
Yeah, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a big leap, but it's the smallest leap we can make in this context. And so they must be like spellcasters in a way. So Pokemon that they're getting from these different, you know how to Rick, if you watch Rick and Morty, his Beths are like disposable in a way that he can go to a new universe and have a new daughter, like that's exactly the same, that experienced the exact same experiences and for all intents and purposes has the same emotional connection. So he's dulled to it. So maybe with them it's like that with their relationship with their Pokemon. So they don't care about what Pokemon trainers like Red care about. You spend time developing and learning with these Pokemon. You don't want to rush a Pikachu to evolve with a Thunderstone if it's not ready to make that change in its life yet, because these are growing creatures. But to these guys, it's all about battle. They rush them through. They know how to manipulate the energies and attach the energies to them, so they're forcing evolution upon them throughout the course of a singular battle. And if they lose a Pokemon in the course, whatever, I can go to another. If I had a personal attachment to that Pokemon, I'll just go to the blue version and find that exact Pokemon and be like, remember me? And maybe Holon, I'm sorry to keep going on like this. My brain is having so much fun. Maybe Holon
this is great.
Exists in these hyper-sensitive universes where these scientists have similar type attitudes, and they're really manipulating the energies of this world callously, maybe even. I don't know.
Wow.
This was not the theory I was talking about. I haven't got to that yet.
Well, this one was still awesome. That's fascinating. It makes so much sense, too, because the trading card game literally makes no sense. There's no story to it. It doesn't track with the way that we know the Pokemon world works.
It ties into what I wanted to discuss, though, which is that there is a big issue with trying to fit these concepts into the canon. Chiefly, since this concept revolves around the typing of Pokemon being different, Pokemon are already the wrong type in the card game. Many Pokemon are. Dragonite is special in the Delta species because it's electric type, but a regular Dragonite in the card game is already weird because it's colorless type. It's not normal, it's colorless, and lightning and steel, and metal.
Colorless is what that's called.
Yeah, so maybe it isn't so much that it's from a different universe where Dragonites are normal type. I don't think that's what it is. I think 17 types in a card game is one of the reasons Magi Nation failed. And it's too much, so they had to simplify. And I think, though, if we're going to make this, perhaps the energy, because my theory, the adaptive energy theory I'm thinking of, which I'm not going to get deep into because we don't have the time, and only so much of it is relevant, but I'm going to have to touch upon it a bit, deals with the fact that there's got to be some type of energy that makes Pokemon, that makes their evolution, that affects the way they do moves and heal and all of this. And there's no reason to believe that it's a unified singular energy, but there kind of is at the same time. We'll get into that in the future episode. But since we're talking about energy, I think energy and types in the Pokemon card game are really relevant, and maybe these energy cards actually do have some relevance to the core series canon. Maybe that is the energy that is this energy. I'm wondering, what is adaptive energy? In preparing for this episode, I was forced to look at my theory and go, maybe adaptive energy is represented in the franchise as this energy in the card games, and maybe there's not as many types because there aren't as many atoms as there are molecules. So Pokemon types, the 17 types, are like the table of molecules, and these energy are like the elements that form the molecules that we know as Pokemon types.
Wow.
And this is the energy they draw from. That's why That's why some Pokemon like Surfing Pikachu can use water attacks, because they can still tap into that energy and they still have that energy in their body. Or this is why even not aberrant Pokemon, but there are Pokemon that learn moves that aren't their type, you know? You can teach Venusaur ground type moves, any type of Venusaur. So like that, maybe that is why. And I don't know. What do you think of this idea?
It sounds kind of cool. Like I'm curious to hear more about the adaptive energy thing. But I almost also feel like the energy cards kind of go with the Planeswalker interpretation of things, where it's like they're kind of hacking the world around them and kind of breaking all the rules anyway. It's like, if I need to give energy to this Pokemon, there's just this kind of abstract, mana type thing. Like, what does that even mean? Is it a land? Like, what? It's like the essence of this world that you're like forcing into this creature to make it more powerful, or to summon it, or whatever. It's kind of interesting how it kind of gives it a context to kind of interpret everything in the trading card game.
Yeah,
I really like. I can't really get over that. But I do like the idea as well as maybe. I love it. Maybe Venusaur is partially ground type. Maybe a Pokemon can be 80% one type, and
nothing in the world is like a concrete thing. Like, mammals exist, but at the same time there are animals which are hard to classify, because there's a reason we have that classification, because there's clearly a type of animal that is mammalian, but at the end of the day, it's a name we gave to something, and those lines might get blurred, and perhaps that's sort of what type is. So, like, these Pokemon are invariably, Blastoise are fucking water type. There's no doubt about it. Like, the amount of water energy that's probably just naturally attached to them. Pokemon, as they live and grow and experience, probably accumulate this energy. And these Pokemon trainers that the card games representing are sort of like these Dragon Ball Z style. Like, they're not like Kamehameha, but they know, like, they're so hyper. Like how the Dragon Ball Z people train in the hyperbolic time chamber with weighted clothing, and like, so they're so much more powerful. In this, they do that with Pokemon training, and they're so much more powerful. And yeah, I wasn't planning on coming out of this episode with a brand new understanding of the entire card game, and honestly, a new way of looking at the Pokemon universe. I really like this, and this was not what I prepared. Like, I have my theory about the energy and the types, but that was it. Like, this is really cool.
Yeah, we went some really cool places, and a lot of those I'm curious to hear more about in future episodes as well. Like, I feel like these are ideas that need to be explored more, and there's a lot more joy to be mined in those concepts. Pretty cool.
Thank you. It's sort of a unified theory of a lot of these Pokemon scientific mysteries and things. How do Pokemon breed? Why can you do this? Why 4 moves? Why this? Why that? I'm putting something together, and I think getting Jeremy in on it is what's really going to make it work. So fingers crossed we'll get that man back on the podcast soon.
Yay.
Fingers crossed we'll get you back on the podcast soon too, my friend.
I would love that. Absolutely. And you should be on Amusement Sparks again.
I should. Why don't you tell our listeners about Amusement Sparks?
Sure. Okay. I guess I can do that. So it's my podcast. It's a theme park design show. So my guest picks a topic that they're passionate about, and we just kind of brainstorm for like an hour and a half about that topic. What would a theme park look like based on Batman or Nickelodeon? Those are the 2 episodes that Nathan's been on. But basically, any topic is up for building a theme park on, as long as it makes sense to have a theme park based on it. So we've done all kinds of stuff. Some of the newer episodes were on Capcom video games, Spider-Man. It's a super fun show. It's pretty, like,
it is.
I don't know, passion driven, I would say. We don't do a ton of planning. It's a lot of brainstorming and back and forth, and it's a good time. I like it a lot. AmusementSparks.com or social media.
Yeah, fun and well produced. So,
well, thank you.
Thank you for adding another good podcast to this online lexicon of thousands and thousands of podcasts. We need more of them. So, thank you. We need more good ones.
Thanks, man.
Because there's so many podcasts. Yeah, I appreciate it.
And it's also an all ages show, which I've had some fun with, like keeping it family friendly. Like, there's not a ton of podcasts that you can share with your younger cousins or whatever, but Amusement Sparks is family friendly, so hey, that's good.
Yeah. Maybe one day if I ever get to quit my job, in the interest of doing podcast, maybe one day I will release Silph Radio for Kids and cut out the swear words and the really touchy subjects. That would be kind of cool if I ever had the time.
That'd be pretty sweet. I don't know. I feel like if we could go full time, man, we could do so many cool collaborations.
Oh, we could do so much.
Yeah.
We could do so much. So if you want to help it happen, please just find a way to support us non-monetarily, because it costs us money to keep these things running. Like you can do a podcast without paying any money, but it's probably just gonna be on YouTube. Like if you want to put your podcast on iTunes and have it easy for people to download and listen to, like the way I suspect you're listening to it, unless you are listening on YouTube, that's fine. But if you're listening on iTunes or Podbay or Stitcher or anything like that, if you're listening on your phone, it costs us money to get these podcasts out there. So not just us, but any podcast you like and listen to, please, I have to remind myself to do it every few months because I don't do it. It's easy to forget. Go on Facebook, look up the podcasts that you like, not just Amusement Sparks and Silph Radio, and give them a like. Every podcast that you listen to, because they do it often for free and it costs them money. So we want to keep doing it for you. And those are the things that help us push a little bit towards that pipe dream of making even a tiny bit of money off this thing.
Yeah, and as a listener, it feels really good to write reviews as well. Kind of like how we love talking about Pokemon. It makes us love Pokemon even more. If you go out and write a review for one of these podcasts that you like, it makes you feel even more closely connected with that podcast. And like, those people have read that review, and like, that's really crazy. You can communicate with your heroes. Maybe someday you'll end up with their phone number like I've got from Nathan. It's thanks, a pretty good place to be.
I appreciate that, and maybe you'll be able to form like an awesome network like we've done here, and I really do appreciate that.
Oh, wow.
So if you want more of it, please go to amusementsparks.com and go to secretroommultimedia.com. I know my website's way too long, but Secret Room, as in a secret room, multimedia, as in all different forms of media, podcasts, videos, music. We've got it all there. Other podcast series for you to enjoy. Comics, new things coming out on the daily, and I've been trying to put more work into the way the site looks and making it more fun to explore. So please go and click around. It's a little slow to load, but I hope you'll find something more that you like. If you're just listening to Silph Radio, you really need to explore the worlds that we are both offering you on our respective websites.
And you should check out their wiki as well. You guys have this buck wild wiki with like your guests and all the storylines, and it's amazing. Like it feels like it was made with so much love for the show. It's so cool to see all the details you guys have put into that wiki.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the more radio plays we write, it sort of became a joke how needlessly complex the continuity was, because we started joking about time travel and how stupid it is, but I'm committed to like not fucking it up. So like, even though it's sometimes we deliberately do, but I think in clever ways. And it became obvious that like, oh shit, we should put a wiki together for ourselves, because I don't want to, even in silly comedy, I don't want to contradict myself. I want there to be a consistency to the world. I think that's what made The Simpsons so special and South Park so special. Like, you can do a comedic, funny, cartoonish world, but still have a consistency. So yeah, I'm now rambling, but
yeah,
sure.
There needs
please
to be some
check
kind
our
of
wiki.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry.
No, you got to set some kind of rules. They can be the most fun rules in the world, but once you have those rules, then you can start to establish the characters and the world and all that stuff. Totally.
Writing is so fun. And also, I'm writing something for Silph Radio. I'm developing a season 1 of something. I'm not going to tell you anything else, but I want everyone to know, and it's going to take a while. You probably won't hear it for over a year. I would say well over a year, honestly. But I'm writing it, and I'm putting a lot of work into it, and I'm really proud of what I'm developing. So if you heard episode 51 and you liked it and you want to hear more like that, I think what I'm doing now is going to be much, much better. So hopefully I'm not just tooting my own horn.
Cool. We'll see you guys on social media. Let's talk more about Delta Species.
Please do. Hey, it's been great, man. From the Secret Room, I've been Nathan K.
I'm Andrew Spohn.
And we'll talk to you again soon. Enjoy your day and Be responsible and have restraint, both when you're designing and writing, but also when you're like traversing the multiverse and enslaving these monsters to be your battle pets. Have a great week, guys.
Don't change their types too many times.
Not too many times. Take it easy, my friend.
See you later, Nathan. That was great.
Thank you, man. See ya.
Bye.